Imagine you're deep underground. You take one scoop of rock with a giant machine, and that single decision, whether you take another scoop or just stop, could be worth millions of dollars. Seriously, if you get it wrong, you either leave a fortune buried forever or you waste a fortune processing worthless stone. For decades, this whole thing has been a super high-stakes guessing game. But now, well, real-time data is changing everything. Okay, so let's get into this. To really get what the problem is, you first have to understand the absolutely incredible world of sublevel caving. I mean, look at this. This is not your typical open-pit mine. No way. This is a crazy, complex operation where miners are literally collapsing a mountain from the inside out, using gravity to do all the heavy lifting. It's a total engineering marvel, but, as you can probably guess, it also creates a massive, massive challenge.
So we're going to start by breaking down exactly what this mining method is and, how in the world it actually works.
All right, so sublevel caving, or SLC for short. It's all about efficiency on a gigantic scale. Picture this. Miners dig a bunch of tunnels, called sublevels, right underneath the valuable ore. Then they blast a section of that ore. It breaks up, and gravity just pulls it down to a collection spot. From there, the worthless rock that was sitting on top just caves in to fill the space. The whole trick is to pull out as much of the good stuff as you possibly can before that worthless rock comes tumbling down after it.
And that, right there, brings us to the very heart of the problem. That moment of truth that every single operator faces over and over again.
It sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? Just keep scooping until the good stuff runs out. But with every single bucket that these giant machines load up, the operator has to make this critical choice. Do I keep going, or is it time to call it quits here and move to the next spot? And this isn't a decision they make once a day or even once an hour. It's constant, scoop after scoop after scoop. So here's the crucial point. There are two ways to get this wrong. And believe me, both of them are super expensive. If you stop too early, like you see on the left, you're leaving valuable ore in the ground that you can never, ever get back. That's just revenue gone, poof. But if you stop too late, on the right, you start scooping up that worthless waste rock. That messes up your good ore, and now you're paying to haul it, crush it, and process it. All for nothing. That's just cash, straight down the drain.
Now you might be thinking, come on, just look at the rock. If it's the good stuff, keep going. If it's waste, stop, right? If only it were that simple.
So what makes this decision so incredibly difficult? Why can't miners just follow a simple rule? Well, the problem isn't really the rock itself. It's all about how it moves.
And this right here is the key. That blasted rock, it doesn't flow down all nice and neat and predictable like sand through an hourglass. As the research says, the flow is chaotic. One scoop might be pure gold, well, ore. The next scoop might be waste that just kind of snuck in from the side. And the one right after that, it could be high-grade ore all over again. It is fundamentally completely unpredictable.
And this graph, this shows you exactly what that chaos looks like in the data. This is plotting the ore grade for every single bucket. Just look at it. It is not a nice, clean decline, is it? It's a jagged, spiky mess. Now imagine you're the operator and you're trying to make a multi-million-dollar call based on that signal. It's almost impossible.
So, when you're trying to solve a problem that seems impossible, you need a totally new way of thinking. And that is exactly what researchers at Luleå University of Technology and LKAB Mines did. They decided to change the question entirely.
They made this brilliant shift. Instead of just asking, hey, what's the geological quality of this rock? They built a model to ask, is scooping this bucket making us money or losing us money right this second? They went from a geology metric, ore grade, to a financial one, real-time cumulative profit, a total game changer. And this chart right here illustrates the new approach perfectly. It basically shows you the economic journey of a single blast. You start way down in the red, that's all the money you spent on development and blasting. Then as you start loading that valuable ore, that profit line starts to climb. It crosses the middle line, that's your break-even point. After that, every scoop is pure profit, until you hit a peak, and the cost of scooping up too much waste starts to drag it back down again. But just seeing the profit curve isn't quite enough. How do you actually use it to make a split-second decision when you have no idea what the next scoop is going to bring? Well, that's where the real genius of this model comes in. Okay, let's go back to our profit curve. See this highlighted band right here? The researchers call this the zone of decision. Now, the top of that band, that's the maximum profit you've made so far. The bottom of the band represents an acceptable amount of economic risk the mine is willing to take. So what does that actually mean? Well, it means the operator doesn't have to slam on the brakes the second the profit ticks down a tiny bit. They can keep digging as long as that profit curve stays within this zone of decision. They can basically take a small, calculated financial dip, hoping that they're about to hit another pocket of high-grade ore and push the profit up to a brand new peak. It's smart risk-taking.
And this has two huge advantages. First, it lets operators ride out those short, unavoidable patches of low-grade stuff. You know, the dips in that chaotic graph we saw earlier. And second, and this is so important, it doesn't replace the operator's skill and experience. It empowers them. It gives them clear economic boundaries, and then lets them use their own judgment to get the best possible result.
Now, this all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But does it actually work? Well, to find out, the researchers took their economic model and applied it to a massive set of historical production data.
So they went back in time, basically, and analyzed the data from 722 different operations at the Malberjet mine. They reran history, but this time they could see the profit curve for every single decision that was made. And what they found was absolutely staggering.
And here are the results. Get this. Only 30% of the time was the stoppage actually timely, meaning it happened inside that optimal zone of decision. 20% of the time, they stopped too late, wasting money, but a whopping 50% of the time, they stopped too early.
Just let that sink in for a second. 50%. In half of all cases, operators who were acting on the best information they had at the time stopped digging while there was still profit to be made. They were leaving perfectly good ore and millions of dollars buried forever simply because the chaotic flow of the rock tricked them into thinking they were done.
You know, this story is about so much more than just mining. It's about how shifting your whole perspective from a physical metric to a real-time economic one can unlock massive hidden value. And it really makes you wonder, if this kind of thinking can optimize the chaotic process of hollowing out a mountain, what other complex industries out there could be completely transformed just by asking the right question?